And we're live. What's up, everybody? This is Kevin from the Thrifting Lounge, and I have the one and only Bonafide Hustler. Um, I'll have him introduce himself because I mean I already know him, and a lot of people don't know everything about you or how you started stuff like that. So uh, take it away.
Yeah, what's going on, guys? I am the Bonafide Hustler, the one and only. My name is Chris, really in real life, but I'm the Bonafide Hustler residing in Austin, Texas. I buy and sell things that I find from garage sales, thrift stores, yard sales, pawn shops, flea markets, all that kind of stuff from coast to coast. And that's how I make my primary income. I also wrote a book about how I've gotten started. And the interesting part about this book is that there's nothing about what to buy and sell, but more of like the mindset of what I think it takes to get accustomed to the game. So it's just one big trade, it's one big game, but hustling can be a lot of fun for each and every one of us out there. But yeah, I'm excited to be on the show and excited to let you guys know a little bit more about me. Anything you guys want to know, just let me know. I'm actually checking the comment feed with Kevin, so if we get any cool questions coming up, Kevin, we're going to answer them, I guess, right?
Definitely ask us questions. Um,
Cool.
so yeah, I mean we talked a lot last weekend after we had the celebration of the Thrifting Lounge, and I mean I I feel like I'll know you a lot better now because I actually sat with you for a few hours afterwards and got to learn you and exactly how you started. Do you want to tell everybody how you started?
Yeah, sure. So basically, I was a kind of like corporate person, like most people, right? We're working a 9 to 5 job, paying really, really well. That was about 10 years ago, and I don't know. I've always been a sucker for just experiencing a lot of different things, whether it be food or just an experience in general. Snowboarding, surfing, going to a different club, a bar, all that kind of stuff. I always wanted to try different things. So I found myself in a thrift store, Goodwill actually, 10 years ago. And don't get me wrong, my life was going perfect. I mean, as planned, on track, just doing the corporate thing, making a lot of money. But I just popped into a thrift store because I liked wearing clothes that nobody had, right? I didn't really like going to the malls and being seen out in public with garb that maybe someone else has, and it's like that's not really unique. So I was like, maybe if I go to a thrift store, I'll find some cool stuff. And I had found some cool things in resale shops prior to that time. So I went into a Goodwill. I saw a bike outside, and I guess now you guys probably know about me through my videos, but I know a lot about bikes. And so 10 years ago, I still knew a lot about bikes, and I took a bike for like $8. This is all in the book, first chapter of the book, by the way. Invested a little bit of money into it, and then I flipped it for $80 like the next day or like 2 days later. But anyway, that kind of started the whole snowball effect of where I am now, and now I'm much more than bikes. I'm thousands of items in my mental inventory, and it keeps me going. I can find good deals wherever I go. Doesn't matter if it's a thrift store, pawn shop, garage sale, estate sale. Doesn't matter. I go around with confidence, and I make really good risk-based financial decisions with my money, and I flip stuff on eBay and put it on places like Craigslist, put it on places like antique booths. That's how I do it. But yeah, I'm always willing to teach people how to do it. I'm working on a bike guide actually right now, which I think is long overdue. Kevin's definitely excited about it. I know he is because he's a writer as well. And I follow him on Facebook, so that's how I know this kind of stuff. But yeah, I think the bike guide's going to really be something. I'm not even close to being done with it, honestly. And I really believe it'll unlock an immense income stream for anybody who purchases it. So much like I've experienced in the past 10 years with bikes. I mean, God, hundreds of thousands of dollars. I'm not even kidding. So if that's what you want, yeah, I guess let me get to my work and let me finish this guide, and I'll get you guys a really good bike guide. Promise you, it'll be a quality product. So, but yeah.
Yeah, I think it'd be a great idea too because I'm one trying to figure out because I know you buy and you sell on Craigslist. Do you actually buy straight on Craigslist and turn around and resell right back on Craigslist for more money, or do you buy and then sell them on eBay?
A lot of times at the bikes that I find on Craigslist, I do one of two things with them. Either I buy them and I keep them for myself because they're pretty rare finds, or the other one is I buy them and then I get some really good deal on it, and then I take a part or two off. It could be a seat, could be something, could be a really expensive shifter, it could be all kinds of stuff. But I will take what I need out of it, and then I'll sell the thing on eBay, or both things on eBay. Maybe I take the seat off and I put it on my own bike, or maybe I take the seat off, put it on eBay, then put a generic seat on the bike, then I throw that to eBay. But a lot of times when I hustle a bike, it's a bike that I pretty much find at a thrift store or a garage sale, because that's where, if you're going to want to get into the bike trade and like risk the least amount of money, you're going to want to try to find your bikes there, not really at a place where everyone already knows what the resale of the bike kind of is. And that's kind of Craigslist, at least in this town. So there are still some tactics you can do to get wonderful bike prices on Craigslist. But if you're looking for the best bike price ever, and if you're looking to, maybe experiment and unlock this income stream before my bike guide comes out, then you probably want to go with a thrift store or a garage sale.
Yeah, I mean, when I was looking for my first cycling bike, this was like 3 years ago, when I started getting into it a lot. I was like, I think I can only afford used. But even if you looked at a used one, they go upwards of over $400 that are like even like I would say 6 to 7 years old. And I'm like, you know what? Might as well pay the extra $500 and get one brand new, because they are expensive, and you always want like the up-to-date features on a bike too. So.
Right, and I think, for people that don't know much about bikes, I mean, bikes can get really complex, just like cars, just like anything, just like tennis rackets, just like golf clubs. Some people are like, why spend all this money on a driver, honestly, when you become good at cycling, you begin to realize that if you put money into a product, a good product, $1,000 bike, $2,000 bike, $3,000 bike, it actually rewards you in the process. You get a much better experience on the bike. But that's only something that maybe a cyclist would really understand. It's just one of those things. It's the same thing with surfing. If you get an old crappy surfboard and then you get on a really good one, you actually can control the good one much better. You feel better on it. It can get you out of trouble situations. So it's kind of cool. But that's how I kind of look at it. I mean, to each their own. Everyone out there's got a hobby, and that those hobbies can justify the strangest and most absurd amounts of money associated with them. But hobbies are fun. I mean, I always encourage people to go out, get out, do more experiences, whether it be food or biking, like Kevin does, or fishing, like Kevin does. Do those kind of things, and you'll get to really realize, a resale market within the actual hobby that you are enjoying, right? So Kevin probably knows a lot about fishing rods, Yeti coolers versus Igloo coolers versus Brute coolers versus, and you get to realize what everyone's buying, the reels that they're buying, how they, do everything. So it's pretty cool. Like what fish finder that everyone's using, that kind of stuff is all a market. It's all, once you find it in a garage sale or whatever, you go, hey, I know what that is. So that's why it's good to, I don't know. It's always good to learn what you love to do. Let's put it that way. And you can start there for sure when it comes to hustling.
Yeah, I remember the first time, I think I watched your first video, I think you were kind of new to the whole video thing, and you said, learn 3 niches of like a category, whether it's clothing, sports, or, like you said, biking or anything like that, and really learn the ins and outs of it so you're able to make an income.
Yeah, that's true, and that's where a lot of people, as my channel has progressed, and it's almost 10,000 subscribers now. That's one of the things that I always urge people to do at the infancy of hustling, or when people even want to get started, or maybe they're intermediates and beginners, and they're just like, God, things aren't really working out. What am I doing wrong? And I always go, go back to the roots and, figure out what you really love about life, what you know a whole lot about of. It could be anything. It could be down to the jeans that you wear, down to the pens that you write with. I mean, all kinds of stuff can be hustled. So you just have to know a lot about something. And everyone knows a lot about something. It's just the truth. It could be a purse. It could be, retro stuff from back in the 90s. I mean, you just know a lot about something. So pick 3 of those things, study those things, go to the eBay completed auctions, take a look what those things are selling on for Craigslist and everything, and then start looking for them when you get to like a garage sale or a thrift store. And, just make sure that you know what you're kind of doing, have enough money. They always say, take enough money to buy these things, and don't be afraid to lose. Try to make a good financial decision in your head, and get in for real low, throw it onto a decent avenue, and then sell it. That's all you gotta do. It's easy. Now we know it's easy, Kevin. But
Yeah.
for people out there, freak out a little bit, and it's understandable. So that's why we have Kevin's got the Thrifting Lounge, totally free thing. We have the Green Room, which is a paid subscription-based thing.
Actually, I joined on Friday, I think.
Yeah. So you joined the Green Room, the thing that we host. it's one of those things, Kevin. I mean, I ain't gonna sell it. I mean, if you think it's great, go ahead and sell it on your Hangouts. But um, it's an amazing place to be, especially if you're a beginner or an intermediate. I even think as an expert hustler, it's an amazing place to be. So filled with quality posts. We kind of do away with the whole riff-raff posting and all that kind of stuff. That's just kind of like how we want to run the room. But we really want to give high-quality posts at all times. So at any given time, any given day, there's always posts going up on there about what to buy, what to look out for. And that's really what it comes down to. If you can have something to help you out, Kevin,
Well, that's what I told. It's like an extra tool for me. Hey, I'll put $100 in. I know all four of you guys anyways. I'm like, I might as well just join it and see how it is. I like it. I think I like the small atmosphere because my group has over almost 6,000 members now, and yours has around 180. But it's everybody I felt like invested into the product. So, and you've brought a lot of these people a long way from when they first began.
Yeah, and that was that was definitely the part of the why we created the green room, which was to reach a larger audience, and also, obviously get rewarded for the project that we were going to put forward, which is all the time that we, do with all the getting back to most of the posts or running the room, adminning all the posts. All that kind of stuff takes time out of my hustle, but I love the green room, and it's one of those things that I'm going to rep till I bail out, which who knows when that's going to be. So, but the green room, I think, forever will just be something that'll be there for people that want to learn this trade, that just want to go, you know what, back in the day, I used to read Cliff Notes and Spark Notes, and I passed book reports, right? And like today, you want to attain a good income stream at the end. It's like, hey, there's no Cliff Notes or Spark Notes, but there is the green room, and there are a lot of other good, like free Facebook groups that you can join. You got to join these things, guys. I'm telling you right now, you can try to do it yourself, which is what I did, and it takes a long time to get good. So there's so many resources right now. We got even Katie Patton today on Facebook announcing that she's going to be, writing an e-guide of some sort. Don't know what yet, but we got great YouTubers that have taken their time, have made the mistakes, have done the good hustles, and have done the regular hustle, and are making guides for your benefit. So always consider those kind of products when you see them coming out.
Yeah, and it does, like you said, it takes away a lot of your time that you could be listing, and you're trying to help everybody else out. And I think that's a really good thing for this community, because I look back, where were we a year ago? We only had a few people that were doing this, and I mean, now look how much it's blown up. It's literally blown up.
Yeah, it really has, and quite honestly, it's like, who even knows what the next year or two is going to look like for your room, my room, the Gil Money, Gil Daddy group, whatever, and then Picking Profits thing that he has, the forum going on. I mean, who knows what it's going to look like, but what's really good is, what's really admirable, and what I like about the community is that, you have these people that kind of step out of the woodworks and start something big, right? Whether they make it free or they make it a charge kind of thing, kind of irrelevant at this point. But what's really important is the fact that people are stepping outside of the primary group and going, I would like to train people, right? And I want to host a place, or I want to bring everyone together that wants to learn. So you build a group, right? And groups are great. So there's some free ones, some paid ones.
They're tough to manage, though, man. I tell you, they're tough.
What'd you say?
It's tough to manage sometimes, though. Once you get a lot of them, it's tough.
Yeah, it really is. I don't do too much of the admin part. I know College Picker does a whole lot of the adminning when it comes down to like removing posts, weeks later or whatever, that really don't, if someone was to join, for example, like you, and then you want to go, the main thing is, if you've invested $100 to get into the group, right? We have, first of all, a couple perks for joining the group, our group, and that is you got to see our 100 amazing items to resell guide, right?
Yeah.
That's in the group, which I think personally, is just a really good guide. So I wrote a quarter of it, and I, as an expert hustler, have learned from that guide already. If I was to buy the guide on the open market, I would have made my money back like so fast, it's not even funny. So, but yeah, it's a guide for people that are beginner or intermediates to, learn by picture and word association. I mean, how easy can it get? Like, we are showing you 100 amazing items that you can find out there on a regular basis, and this is in the guide. So we have a guide. Hopefully Kevin will put it in the bottom of this feed or whatever, but you can look at any of my... What'd you say?
I just need a link for you for the guide after, and I'll put it in the comment section after the video ends.
Right. So yeah, it's a really good guide, like I said. But it's the perk of joining the green room. If you're in the green room, you get to see the guide for free. You get to also get College Pickers Guitar Hero guide, which is interesting because if you know anything about Guitar Hero and Rock Band controllers with the games and everything, um, that market is enormous on eBay. I mean, enormous doesn't even begin to describe the market. The market is almost endless. It's crazy. You could scroll for like 5 minutes and not get to the end of the market. So it's a huge market. I mean, there's plenty of money to be made there while the opportunity exists. So so long as there's no crazy developments in Xbox or PlayStation 4 kind of stuff, I mean, crazy developments that makes the stuff obsolete, there's a huge market there with Guitar Hero controllers, the games, the Rock Band controllers, the games, and the Fit boards. So that guide is for free as well in the green room. And we're probably going to be we're working on something else as well. Can't really say what that is, but I think Kevin kind of knows a little bit about it already. But yeah, it's all about value, guys. When you get out there, value is Kevin's value, for example, is building a 6,000 deep group. That's huge. When you can get a lot of people together, 6,000 people, start posting on a page about
A lot
something,
of people.
thrifting. That's huge, man. I mean, that's not easy to do. So there are a lot of things, like I said. Get into your free groups. I will definitely say Thrifting Lounge. I want to say also the Gill Money group. That one's pretty decent. Thrifting with the boys, yes, you get some, some people are like, yeah, and some people are like, nah. Thrifting with the boys basically run by two, maybe more than that, people that actually have a Spike TV show right now. And there's a lot of mixed emotions about that group. Regardless of that, it's free. I am part of also the thing called Lego Investing. It's a free Facebook group. I love it. Teaches you about anticipated Legos that are going to be really cool. And plus, if you have a Lego that you want to identify that you find in a garage sale or thrift sale, you can put a picture there, and people will tell you like that came from this set, or that is this character from that Star Wars set. It's kind of cool. So I think it's definitely an asset.
Yeah, because when I first started, I used to snipe stuff off of Craigslist. Like I would buy, I think the first thing I sold from Craigslist, I had like a Marvel Comics in the tin, Seen It one in the tin, brand new in package. Lady sold it for me for $10. I think I bought it for $10, sold it for like 50.
Oh, yeah?
Yeah, I was surprised, and that ever since then I've been hooked.
Yeah, it's
and
fun.
like that, though, find stuff super cheap. I think that's what's good about what we do. We go in there and we find stuff like really cheap. I mean, almost next to nothing compared to what it used to be new. And then you turn around and you make a good profit out of it, and you're making the buyer happy and yourself happy too. So.
Yeah, absolutely.
I saw a couple of good questions in the chat over here. Are you looking at them?
Yeah, there are a ton of questions actually. I guess I'll try to answer a couple of them here when Okay, so Flip Flops All Day says, Chris, ever think about hiring an employee? I've thought about it, but I don't have a huge amount of business in any one location, so I can manage my eBay business pretty good. If I had an employee, that'd really be the only place I'd want to mess with it. But I also don't do a whole lot of clothing, so that's one of the only reasons why I can manage it very well. A lot of people that go into clothing can find a lot of clothes very quickly. I mean, look at Steve Rakin. He's one of my admins, or my side admin in the green room. And with the knowledge base in clothing that you can get very quickly here on YouTube videos or the paid stuff or the free rooms, God, you can learn so much about clothing. And anywhere you go in America, you're going to be able to find clothing. You really will be able to. And that's one of those places where you might need an employee because you get yourself a little too busy. We start seeing that a lot too. Like people are just piling up clothes and like, what do I do with all this stuff? And the thing is about clothing is you can spot it all day long. So I don't do too much clothing. That being said, I also do a lot of like outerwear. Like I don't do normal clothing. I do outerwear, specialty kind of stuff, jerseys, things like that. So I can handle my eBay business pretty well. My antique mall business, I can handle that pretty well on my own. I do some things on FBA. I got 100 plus items in there right now. That I can handle on my own too. I do about one shipment a week, and then I also, I manage all the other stuff that's going on, like the green room, and that I put a lot of my time into every single day, getting back to people, and this and that, scheduling, decent guests for every single week that we have the green room hangouts. So I don't know if I need an employee yet. If my eBay business grows, which I do want it to, then I might consider it. But I just don't know who I would hire yet. I mean, it's just one of those things.
Do you ever see yourself going away from eBay to maybe?
I like eBay a lot. I think eBay reaches a lot of places that Amazon cannot reach. So when it comes to very interesting one-off relic type items, items that just you don't even know if a duplicate exists out there, I think eBay rules for that kind of market. And that reminds me, there's another question in here that says, what's the biggest, most favorite flip of all time? You know, that's kind of two questions that I can say that my biggest flip is certainly not my favorite flip. But if there's a biggest, most favorite flip where I'm like proud of it because I really think it reflects on my education level in the hustling game at a certain time, I would have to go back to 2 years ago, maybe 3 years ago actually, when I went to an estate sale at 8 in the morning on a Friday, and I went to the estate sale because I knew it had World War II items for some reason, right? It said World War II fighter items, and I was like, wow, fighter jets, I just love that regardless. So my mind was like going haywire, and I pulled up to the place, and I'm not even kidding you, they had the fighter jet seats in there, like in the estate sale were the fighter jet seats from like a 1960s French fighter plane. And then they had the masks for the dudes, they had like all the garb. They had the joystick in the plane, the fighter control joystick with the missile lock thing, the things that you see on like
Yeah.
crazy, all your films that you've ever watched. Yeah, like missile lock and boop, 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 you know, all that kind of stuff you've seen from Top Gun. They had that stick there. And then they had one of the gauges that I don't know what it exactly did, right? But I saw the gauge and I was like, that is a sweet looking gauge. It was almost like a paperweight. It was super heavy. But it goes on that instrument cluster in front of the pilot, right? It has 4 screw holes, and you can put any gauge you want in this thing. This gauge that I particularly found had a name. It said Heuer, Heuer. And I was like, dude, I know that name, but I didn't know they make fighter gauge like stuff. But I know Heuer, that's like Tag Heuer, you know, like the watches and everything. I was like, I know that. I mean, I don't know if it's related, but I was like, for $11, I'll swing on the damn gauge. You know what I'm saying? Like, I'll swing on it. And then I loved it so much, I kept it on my desk forever. And then after a while, I was like, let me just put it on eBay, because one of the rules about hustling, it's a very interesting rule, is when you find some cool stuff, first of all, through hustling, you're probably going to find a lot of cool things you're going to want to keep for yourself. That's just like, that just
Almost everything for me, man. It's hard for me to give my stuff up too. It's like, I hate
yeah,
it.
you're going to find the coolest stuff. I mean, beyond your imagination, crap that you were like, wow, I can't believe it. Like, that takes me back to when I was a kid, you know, all kind of stuff. So you're naturally going to be inclined, and you will, you know, keep a lot of cool things. But what you got to realize is when you keep something, that you've basically bought it for that price, for whatever the market price is of that time. You bought it. So I decided, I was like, all right, I want to keep this gauge, but I don't know what it's really worth. And I researched it everywhere, freaking no gauges anywhere. I was like, all right. I just threw it up on eBay, and I was like, eBay, and I put it for like $369.99 or something like that, and it's sold. And I was like, damn. So there's some guy in like Norway, so shipped it off, and I was like, that was awesome. And I was like, there's no way I would ever have bought that thing for $300. You know what I'm saying? Like, that doesn't make sense. So it's like, you got to put your things up on eBay. I mean, down to like the most rare item that you use in your house on a yearly basis. Like, these things could be worth some serious money, man. Boots. I mean, you could be walking around some really expensive boots that you have no idea, for example. Just post your stuff and see if it'll sell for a certain price, and then if it does, you walk away with the money and you go, wow, I would have never spent that much money on that boot anyway, you know, or that gauge. It's kind of interesting.
Like
So,
I told you, it takes that one person to come by and like your item and to buy it.
oh yeah. Well, the guy that bought it actually was like Norwegian Heuer watchmaker. It was like his handle was, he was a Heuer collector. Like, he collected Heuer anything, like watches, gauges, I guess, you know. So that was probably the only guy in the world that would have bought that. So you're right. Like, is it better than Amazon, eBay? Yeah, I think in that respect, there's no way I could have moved that on Amazon. I couldn't have moved that anywhere else, I don't think.
I think Amazon's really good for like new products, like whether you're going to retail arbitrage and stuff like that. I think that's where you'll get most of your max profits from over there. But I think what's really good about eBay is kind of like a yard sale business. You know, you put items up that you never know make you money, and just throw them up there. Oh, let me check it out in an auction. Before you know it, it's more than you thought it would be, and before you know, you're going through your whole house and selling stuff on eBay. You know?
Yeah, the two markets are so different. I mean, Amazon, to be clear to people out there, or maybe like beginners are watching this, but Amazon's really two different Amazons if you want to think about it this way. There's Amazon FBA and there's Amazon Merchant Fulfilled, which is basically Amazon's version of eBay, really. Let's just be honest. It just has the markets are totally different. And then Amazon FBA, for example, is the Amazon that exists when you ship all your crap out to Amazon, and then they handle all the customer service. They do all the shipping. They do everything else. You ship it off one time, and you don't see that item ever again. But then it might take days, weeks, months to sell, and it's really in their hands at that point. So there's two different things, and the markets are inherently different for Amazon versus eBay completely. When you look at video games, for example, Amazon a lot of times goes over eBay on video games, right? But if you find that one crazy video game, right, stadium events, all these weird ones, that belongs on eBay, right? Because you want millions of people to look at that one thing. So yeah, eBay is really good when you have something that wants to take off, like an auction type thing too. That's been there for 15 years, it seems.
Yeah, and it's interesting to see what they're going to be doing with this whole eBay and PayPal split, or a new company they're making. I heard it might open up more options for like them to maybe go to like Amazon, PayPal open up to Amazon, since it's supposed to be two separate entities. That might be good, because I heard you have to wait 2 weeks to get paid from Amazon.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, that's a good benefit for eBay. You get paid right away, and depends how long you've been doing it. You can get it direct deposit, or you have the eBay credit card, or is it the eBay debit card?
Yeah, you can get a PayPal debit card right now. You can get an eBay something right now. I don't mess with those kind of things too much, man. When I mess with credit cards, I need to get the PayPal debit card. I heard that one's pretty decent. But when I mess with any kind of credit cards, it's always in a purchasing habit form, should I say. I always like to use the Southwest Visa with miles program, because I always travel every year somewhere. See my parents, see my girlfriend's parents. It helps in those situations a lot. It really does.
Yeah. My friend over here had a question for you. He said, how many listens a day should a new seller be doing?
Should a reseller be doing a day?
On eBay.
Say again?
On eBay.
It depends on how you're sourcing. If you're sourcing the right kind of item, I mean, it just depends on how you schedule your life. If eBay is your only avenue that you're messing around with, the only one, I would say 10 at minimum, right? But if it's not your only avenue and you just got a bunch of avenues going on, and you want to find yourself making a book one day or something, I'd do 5. Like I hold myself to about 5.
Yeah,
5 a day. 5 a day is 150 a month, like.
Yeah.
And those 150, by the time of the end of the month, you're like, yeah, sweet, I put 150 more items up. It's like, not really, because some of those are already old too, so you might have only really put up like 100 or 120.
Yeah, I mean, it could sell quickly too, and you could put 5 up a day, and then you could sell 4 of them, or you could sell 1 of them. I mean, then that's why I always try to set yourself a goal.
It all depends on what you're buying. It all depends if you're buying items where your turnaround's only like $10 in profit versus what I like to shoot for is anything 25 and above. So that way I'm not actually posting as many items. It depends on what you're making on each sale as well.
Because I mean, my next door neighbor has this needle stitch thing he wants me to do with them, and he actually makes the kits and gives them to me, and he wants like at least 20. And I'm thinking, I can set the price here, but it's going to be like maybe 30. And like, it depends on how much I'll do a month. I mean, if I can do 100 of them a month, I mean, it'll definitely be worth it. But I just don't see it even getting maybe 1 or 2 a day. And to me, it's not worth it. You got to figure out at what point, quantity or, price margin on one per thing. Because I mean, you can do multiples and just sell them as multiples, but still it takes time at everything, and you got to figure out if it's worth it. I just didn't think $10 was worth it for me, when right now I'm doing pretty good, like the $30, $35 range. Last month it was $35. The month before that was $60. Last month I didn't do too well. How was your sales for September?
September?
Yeah.
They're good. I mean, if I pull them all together from all the places that I That's the thing about income streams is, like I said, I'm not heavily vested into any one stream. Like I'm not into eBay any more than I am into my antique mall versus anything else. So when I pool up my money at the end of the month for Craigslist, antique mall, eBay, then we have Amazon A, we have the book sales, we have green room subscriptions, then we have the book and the guide that we made in the green room. Then I have third-party things throughout town that I drop off random stuff for consignment, so that might be one of them. And then just random other things. So when I pool all that together, I always, I haven't had a bad month in a while. So if a bad month occurs, it's due to usually eBay
Yeah.
if I have a bad month. But I don't really consider anything bad. I never get on myself like that's a bad month, that's a bad month. As long as you hold yourself to, you know, like for me, every week, right? For me, I check on the booth every single week, right? I do a drop off for all the stuff I find for the weekends. Like I drop things off and tag them up. It's important. I fill holes in my booth. I make sure everything looks good before I leave. That's one thing I hold myself to every week. Second thing I hold myself to every week is doing one shipment off to FBA. That's important to me, right? Doesn't have to be like a whole lot of boxes. Just has to be, whatever's just sitting in my room at that time that needs to go to FBA. And then the third thing every single week is make some sort of bona fide video, whether it be one or two. It's like because those videos are very important to getting the message out that, I like to resell, and it can be really fun. If you've seen any of my videos, then you know that I pretty much lose my mind on half of them. But I do it because people like, well, that is how I am. But like, I want to show people it's fun. Like hustling is a lot of fun. It's one of the most interesting positions and jobs you can ever have. You work for yourself if you go full time, and you have a lot of fun. You have a lot of free time. You really do. So
If you find one of those golden items, man, it's like an adrenaline rush.
yeah.
It's a really good rush, man. It's like, you know.
I love it. Every day I go out with no pressure. Like when I go out and I go hustling, I can go to Savers, I can go to Goodwill, I can go to Garage Sale. I have zero pressure, and it's almost like, I don't know, it's like that Limitless film when you take the drug and you look around and you're like real sharp. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
It's like that. You look around and I'm like real sharp. It's only because, no, I didn't take any drugs, but yeah, I'm on caffeine, and yeah, I'm educated, and yeah, I took the hard way to get there. And it's just one of those things. It's the benefit of doing a lot of hard work. I mean, none of this stuff comes easy. But that being said, there are some cool things that you can get out there. Free rooms, paid rooms, guides, books. There's all kinds of crap you can do to learn this faster. I didn't do it, and I wish I had. I really do, but nobody had anything out back then. So I definitely saw it as a market for myself. I was like, well, I could be that market. I can create these things. And that's why I did my book, and that's why I did partner up with Raiken and partner up with CP and with Retro Aficionado. We are like-minded people that think alike, so we formed a room where we train people. It's a lot of fun.
It actually is, man. I like the private hangouts. I've been, I think, one or two of them with you guys, and you guys actually popped in and out too. So.
Yeah, those private hangouts are wild, man. Like those are the things that, I mean, YouTube doesn't get to see those things, but those things are private in the green room hangouts that spur out of nowhere. I mean, they just come out of nowhere and they fade away 5 hours later. But those things are really interesting. Like
Yeah.
I went in on one. I don't think you were there. Actually, yes, you were there. I went in on one. I had 20 minutes to spare, and then I got off 3 hours later.
I actually got off before you.
Yeah, I think you did, because I was showing people, and there was only like 4 people left, and they were like, I was showing them around my freaking garage, my operation, how it all goes in, how it all comes out, how I don't get stressed out, how I make sure to manage my inventory. I mean, really cool stuff, and they were just like, wow,
Speaking about your garage, you do have a really good system. How you have everything in the bins already packed away, and everything's already in the boxes. Because I think that's what I need to do. I need to find the boxes. Anything that needs to be packed up in a box, I tend to go like behind the mall and try to find, in the recycling bin, because there's so many places around here you can get boxes, and I just find them that day and then just pack it up and send it out. But I think it'd be so much less stressful if you already had the boxes with you like you have it. pack it away, and if they have any questions, easily unwrap it and do it that way.
Yeah, so what Kevin's talking about, guys out there, is that anytime I get an item, right? Well, the box, I do this thing called, I don't know, it has to deal with boxes, right? So anytime I go out for hustling, right? I go out for a weekend hustle. My SUV has boxes inside with no tops, right? They're open top boxes, big ones with handles on the side. And they're open on top. And anytime I get an item, right, from a garage sale or estate sale or yard sale, I throw it into a box, but a respective box, right? The box that is either an antique booth, eBay, Craigslist, okay? Because you're basically sorting it there in your mind on the spot. So as soon as you buy it, you open your door, you put it in the box it needs to go to. All right, so fast forward 3 hours later, you're done with your day, done garage sailing, you take the box out, and then you go, okay, this is my Craigslist box, so I'm going to tackle this one when I have a little bit of time to assess my Craigslist stuff. You got your antique mall box. You're like, all right, I'm going to leave this one in the car because I'll be at the booth tomorrow. So, and then you got your eBay box, and you go, okay, this one, I really need to take pictures of this one this evening when the light is good, so I'm going to put this one in my garage right now, you know, and you do these things with the boxes, you move around a little bit, but you never really take anything out of the boxes until they have to be snapped, all the pictures and all that kind of stuff, and then when I'm done snapping all my pictures, then I put it back in its box, okay, I put it back in its little open top box, and then when I have some time, I focus on only boxing up the products. That's all I do. Like I'm sitting there, I'm in box mode, right? And before I did that, I was in, you know, make pictures mode, right? And then I get into eBay creation listing mode, and I do things over and over and over and over and over for like an entire hour, maybe two. And that's how I get good at it. That's probably why I don't need a like an employee, because I do things, you know, I don't ever just take an item, lay it on a table, take a picture, make a listing, throw it into a box, tape the box all up, take another item out of the box, put it on the table, take a picture. I don't do it like that. That gets boring. I hate that. So I always say, make sure you're organized. Make sure you take all your pictures at once. This is just my advice, right? You don't have to do it like this, but this is if you don't want any stress and if you want to control your inventory, this is the way to do it. Take all your pictures at once, box everything at once, and then go to the post office or wherever you need to go to every other day, and you'll be fine.
Yeah, I usually just have the mailman. He comes here. He kind of hates it sometimes because I have like 6 packages going out, and he'll have to end up going down the street because he walks the route. He'll have to go down the street and come back and pick them up. He kind of gets upset, but sometimes I usually I'll give him a drink or something, like a bottle of water, because it gets hot up here. And he's a really nice guy. I can't believe he actually does this stuff for me. But,
yeah, they can do that kind of stuff. If you have a priority pickup, you can schedule that through USPS. I heard. I don't ever do it because my post office and my FedEx, which right now I only really mess with priority or first class with USPS, and I only mess with FedEx Ground 3-day because I want my stuff to go to my people fast. You get it fast and it's nicely packaged, bubble wrapped, whatever. You're gonna get good feedback. Feedback drives a lot of stuff too. So. You can get a cheaper option, yeah, and it'll arrive to their house like 9 days later, and that's no fun for anybody. So you might save a couple bucks at the expense of your, hey, my item got here super late, that was not cool, right, on your feedback. So I don't know.
Today I just got a message from a buyer from South Africa. I sold him a sport coat for $120, and it left on the 19th. It hit to get out of this country the 25th of August. And the guy messaged me today. He says, I don't know what's going on. I still haven't received my package. And I'm like, oh, man. I'm hoping that he has to go down to customs and he might have to pay to get it in or something like that. Because I know some countries, we don't pay customs on our end. They pay customs on their end. So I don't know if he doesn't know that or not. And that's the reason why they might be holding it or something. Anyhow, I really hope he didn't lose it because I also have to pay him that money back.
Yeah, that can be a really unfortunate situation.
And that's the cost of doing international shipping, though. It kind of stinks, but it's tough sometimes.
Yeah, they have the international shipping option on eBay, or they have the global shipping program, which is what I do. I go for blanket, right? I call it blanketed approaches, right? When I say I blanket something, it means I do one thing among everything, right? So like when I do my eBay listings, I always say free shipping continental USA. So I don't ever try to work out like what's the shipping going to be on this thing. I hate thinking like that. I just go free shipping continental USA on every one of my listings, like from A to Z, all the way down. It doesn't matter what it is, free shipping, continental USA, and I work that price into whatever I want to charge the person, whether it's a buy it now or an auction start or whatever. That's already worked into the price. So the shipping is completely gone. Like no one's going to be like, hey, you charge me too much or whatever. It's like they'll never know, right? They'll never know how much it costs to ship to them. So that's completely out of there. Like some people get pissed because like you charge them 10, but it really like when it shows up and it gets to them like, oh man, they only like they had to pay only like 540 for this. This is what, like why did I pay 10? You know?
Yeah.
So I ignore all that. That's a blanket approach I do right there. Free shipping, continental USA. You're not going to get in any trouble if you do this. Just trust me. Find out where you live in the. I mean, find out where you live in the USA. Obviously, you know where you live in the USA. You're either in the center or you're on both ends of the country. So if you're on one end of the country, to ship to the very opposite end is going to cost a decent amount of money. So factor that into your prices, right? If you're like me, if you live in Austin, Texas, or anywhere in the middle of the country, then I know that none of my stuff to ship outwards will exceed usually like 15 to 20 bucks. I mean, like that's the worst case scenario for me, 15, 20. So I know that already, right? I know that any amount of shoes that I send out to either coastline is going to be $8.49, right? All the way up to like $9.11. Like that's it. I know that. So, you know, I don't care to put free shipping. It doesn't matter to me because I know I can get more listings out if I just put free shipping continental USA instead of calculating out stuff for people.
Yeah, that also it gets into another point of like, for a new seller starting, because I remember when I first started, I was like, oh man, keywords, you know, especially when I sold clothing. I'm like, I really don't know what this, you know, design on the shirt is, pattern or whatever on the shirt is, and I used to have to do so much research. But then the more you do it, the more research you do, the better you're off. It's the same thing I think with keywording, because that helps your, I think, best search ranking, along with the free shipping and a few other things. I guess it helps your search ranking, but I tend to keep it on my keywording. I don't know if this is the same with you, but like basic, like if I usually do the brand, if it's a certain design, and then what it is, and then men's, and then the size. I mean, how do you usually do it?
Yeah, what I do when I do a lot, when I do a lot of my listings, the complicated ones, I'll go to I look at other people's listings of the same product that they sold, right? And then I'll copy and paste parts of their actual ad onto my own, and I'll, you know, backspace some words, put my own words, and I'll backspace some other words out. But basically, yeah, if you're doing like a shoe brand, you're gonna want the brand, you're gonna want the model, you're gonna want the general style, like so it could look like Clark's Desert Boot, right, or Clark's Originals Desert Boot. You can put hipster in there. You can put, you know, leather. You can put size 11M, which means 11 medium, or 11D, which would be like a wide. But you want to put the most important, hard-hitting things up there. You don't have an infinite amount of characters. That's the unfortunate thing about eBay. You can't just type out the longest title ever. You have to keep it down to a certain amount of characters. So those characters right there, that's a huge part of your listing. You don't want to fool around and just put leather shoes that look really cool that go up to your ankle, size 11M. You know, it's like no one is going to find that.
I bought a Bruins jersey. I have it hanging up here. I'll be wearing it in the next couple of days when the season starts. But I bought it from this guy online on eBay, and this was maybe 6 months ago. And it was thrown on his bed, and the bed was like dirty. It wasn't even made. And it says, won this in a raffle. I won the Randy Moss jersey, but get the Bruins jersey instead. And it was new with tags, and I'm like, man, it's super cheap. I'm like, he's had a zero feedback. So I bought it. It took me like 12 days to get to me. There was all sorts of problems. He really wasn't sending it out, and he finally sent it out. I mean, I told him, I go, you know, you're a new seller. You need to, if somebody wasn't selling like we also sell, we kind of, you know, feel pity on people like that are new, because we're trying to help them learn too. I said I would have given you a negative feedback, but you know, since you talked to me and we're in communication, I gave him a positive feedback because I kind of felt bad, but it was like it wasn't presentable, and then it took forever to get to me. That's the stuff that you kind of want to avoid by like customer. That's why I call it kind of, you know, customer service behind the scenes. You know, you always want to be in contact with the a person that has a question, or like a best offer or something, or if somebody you're buying from, try to get communication, because I knew that my customer service was a lot better than this kid's, because he didn't have that experience. I mean, what could you say for that? Because I know you're probably the same way, have everything sorted out perfectly, and then like you've done this for so long, you can make your listing however you want it, and it'll be fine.
Yeah, I make my listings really, real fast. I mean, like super fast. So when I get into eBay listing mode, it's usually because I have a folder full of pictures on my desktop, like usually about 140 plus pictures. And mind you that a posting, you can put 12, right, on each posting. So if I have 140 pictures, I basically have about 13 postings to put up. Um, so what I do is I just go through the listings. I put all my pictures up, and while the pictures are uploading in the background, so I'm on a MacBook Pro. Hopefully this is the same for PCs and stuff, but I make everything upload in the background. I have really fast internet too, so this actually happens pretty quick. And then I click on my description field, and I put shoes are in great shape. Um, worn few times, even if I don't know if they've been worn few times, I'll just say worn few times, period, see all pics and judge for yourself. And you put 12 high quality pics. 12 high quality pictures are going to speak so much more to any story that you put in that description field. So to make sure you got really good pictures, because if you put see pics and judge for yourself, and then space, I put, I hit the return key 2 times, and I put free shipping continental USA. Then I go to my price, make up a little price, press submit, and boom, off to the next one. Like that's how fast I do my listings. It's super fast. I'm not even kidding. That's all you need to do. You don't need to put some freaking crazy HTML Word document in. You don't have to put any of that crap in there. Just put a couple lines of like, because truthfully, if you're finding this at a thrift store or at a, wherever you find this kind of stuff, garage sale, you don't know the history behind it. Okay, you just don't. So to act like you know everything about the shoe and it's so comfortable, you don't know. Like, so just put what you think. Okay, it looks like it's been worn a couple times. I've been many times I'll just put estate sale find. Even if I find it in a garage sale, I'll still put estate sale find. For some reason, that just sounds better than garage sale find. Like it just doesn't.
I really don't.
You don't get the same ring, huh?
I think it kind of helps the situation too, because a lot of people look at estate sale higher up than garage and yard sale, and just because, I mean.
Yeah, absolutely, and that's why I decided to start going that direction. I was like, all right, I don't want to have to explain everything to these people, right? So I just put estate sale find, see all pictures, judge for yourself. I never try to get into products that take an overwhelming amount of time to explain or test out or something like that. I don't like those kind of things. So if it's like a mixer, for example, for like, bands and what a mixer looks like, you plug in like all these ports and then you adjust the levels. Like I don't have time to test that damn mixer out. Like I just don't have the time. It better be worth I better get it for like $1, and it better be worth like north of like $2.50 for me to start messing with every single port, hooking something in, seeing if I get sound out of it. You know what I'm saying? I just don't like to mess with that kind of stuff. I like messing with fast kind of things like shoes, things like outerwear, things like bikes or bike-related gear, things like that. I like messing with those things because you can look at a pair of shoes and go, all right, this thing is good. Like that's it. You don't have to even. It doesn't have to be your size. It's just so easy to inspect and go, all right, it's not falling apart. It looks great. Like it's ready to go. It's like it's ready for market, and that's what I like messing with. So I make a really quick listing, and yeah, that's it. I mean, I put decent keywords and I don't know all the shoes in the world, so I'll do a little bit of research. Okay, I look in the shoe, see what it says, and I go, okay, this looks like a wingtip, so I put that plus wingtip. And then I go, okay, there it is. It's a design. I see it right there. Copy and paste the person's ad into my own ad. Make a couple words different, and you're good to go. Like it doesn't take that long.
Yeah, I've gotten down to like I have like templates for like whether it's a certain piece of clothing, cross stitch or Afghans, and I just copy and paste it, and then I work the word like you said, just work the words in there, and I find it saves me a lot of time. I know a lot of people do the other way. What's the other way you can do it? It's like a multi-lister, and I think there was a question in I think it was my room asking me about the multi-lister tool. I've never used it, but I use the advanced way of creating a listing because I think it's a lot quicker here, and you have more options compared if you did like the basic way.
Right. I've heard about some of these like turbo listing kind of projects, just like crazy listers, where it becomes almost like an Excel document or something like that, where you put in all the information, then you paste like a one giant upload, and all the ads get generated. There's things like that. Look, like my eBay business isn't like that advanced, right? When I'm dealing with eBay, it's just one of my avenues. So I don't try to ever be heavily invested into any one avenue more than another. It kind of irritates me a little bit that places like FBA, and of course I saw this coming. I already knew this was coming, but anytime you surrender your products away from you, right, the less control you have of your products. So whether that be in an antique mall or whether it be at FB Amazon's warehouses, your products are kind of on your whole business is at the mercy of that entire channel, and your products are gone too. So that makes it even worse. So like with eBay, for example, they can make rules and regulations, but your products are still at your house. You can move it on Craigslist. You can do some other things. You're not completely screwed, right?
Yeah.
Amazon, FBA, now your products are gone. They're like out of the house, which was a good thing at one point. And then these little weird things come around because people are sending some really junky products and counterfeits, things that just aren't. So like FBA, and I think what's it called? Picking Profits recently with GoDaddy. I can't exactly say which interview it was, but I know it was last week, like on Thursday or Friday. Wonderful freaking interview where they discuss FBA, the future of FBA, all this kind of stuff. And if you guys know about Picking Profits, he's huge on books, and he loves FBA, but he realizes that when you surrender that many products out there, you're at the mercy of their decisions and their rules, and he understands that, and that's good. But don't ever look to one avenue as I got to make it happen all in this one avenue. That's like terrible. Don't ever do that. Always have your money spread wide, like stocks, and don't ever just take all your cash and go, all right, that's it, I'm going right into Apple because they're making iWatches and it's going to be awesome. Like, don't ever do that, right? Like, if you believe in the watch sector, then buy the freaking chips that are going to be in the watches. They might be in several other watches, but not just an Apple one, for example, right? The things inside the products, but don't spread your money wide. Don't ever go into like one sector, for example, when you're an investor, go all into tech. I'm all into tech, bam, all into tech, and then tech takes a huge hit because oil goes down, for example. You're completely screwed, right? So same thing with Amazon FBA, same thing with eBay. If you love one avenue over another, then yeah, like efforts and profits that way. Unfortunately, here's the bad part, is FBA happens to be one of the most rewarding experiences because you send off your stuff and it's gone forever, right?
Yeah.
And you don't have to look back at it again, which means it's not going to accumulate at your house. So that's like, oh yes, that's awesome. Yeah, they're going to accumulate it in their warehouse. So they have boxes and boxes of your crap at their warehouse. And yeah, they have rules and regulations and everything, but the truth of the matter is you can just leave, like your residence, and go somewhere, and things are selling behind the scenes, which is huge. And even GoDaddy saw that too in the last interview that he had with Picking Profits, but he was like, I see that in my future. I see myself being mobile and having fun and going around the USA and finding more things to send in an FBA and having fun. Like I saw that. I was like, yeah, that's a good thing too. But you can't do that on eBay.
No.
You can't. There's no way. If you have 100, you have 300 things. You ain't gonna take 100 or 300 boxes with you in in the back of your SUV or wherever as you go across the continent. You're not gonna do that. So there are definitely ups and downs to every avenue.
And I wonder if that's something they're gonna end up doing, because I've seen them pop up some sort of like buildings in certain states that everyone's like rumoring that's what they're doing. They're fixing to be like a fulfillment center for them. I mean, I think it's a little late to the game, though, don't you?
Say that again.
I've heard of articles where like there's like a couple different buildings that popped up, and I think one in Kansas, where it's a rumor it's supposed to be like a new fulfilled center for them, kind of like FBA.
Yeah, I think they have to go that direction. FBA is a big deal,
Do you think they're going to be a little bit too late to it, though?
No, I mean I think Amazon knows that they're not going to be the king forever. That's for sure. And with any amount, even when we had the Chris Green interview on our Green Room Hangouts last week, which was a smashing friggin' hangout, by the way. It was so awesome. But he echoed on a couple things, like, where there's a trend or where there is something amazing made, there's always ways to make money off of it, right? So he hit it right on the head, like, because Amazon does this FBA, okay, so eBay can do any version of that or hybrid version of that they want. It's not like Amazon owns the rights to
Yeah.
have people ship them stuff. Like, so I think eBay will go there if they see their own internal business kind of crumbling, or if it's just the next step that they need to do. I don't know how much cash they have on the reserves, but I would imagine that eBay would invest their money into like-minded projects. So, like if you're in tech, like Facebook, for example, right, or social media tech, whatever you call, like they bought a whole VR stock like not too long ago, like 3 months ago, a stock that primarily only engages with the building of these goggles called the Oculus Rift. So they bought the entire company. So they're seeing something much. I mean, it seemed in line with what their business model is, right? Like, why are you buying virtual reality goggles, but you are a social media stock? My guess is they're building like like a a VR internet, right? And Facebook's going to be the blowing, like they're going to basically you're going to have to sit your ass down on your couch, put on your VR goggles, and you'll be able to go anywhere you want, any mall that's like virtual mall, like anywhere you want. And instead of typing on the screen, you'll be able to see where you're going and like interact with people at like a virtual bar. It'll be wild. I'm telling
Yeah,
you.
a lot of those big companies, they buy these companies when they're small, and they work them up, or they're already like pre-worked, and they pay a crap load of money, and they still like end up making more money even after they buy them. The stock keeps going up. I think that was the same thing with Google and YouTube. Google bought YouTube, and it's bigger than ever now. It's crazy.
Yeah, it's like sometimes you can't even tell how big it's going to get, but
It's like
YouTube,
entrepreneur, you know.
dude, even in the past like 2.5 years being on YouTube, just starting a channel for hustling. Let's face it. I mean, God, my channel's like almost 10,000 subscribers, which in the grand scheme of YouTube, like channels, for example, it's like the bottom 1% of how many subscribers you can get on whether if I was to do like a gaming channel or a channel based on fitness or something, right? So like 10K is not a whole lot of people. What I'm trying to say, it's insane the amount of like capabilities that YouTube allows any person out there to express themselves in anything that they love to do. It can be, for women, it can be makeup, it can be all kinds of stuff, knitting, cooking, and throw all your traits and all your cool stuff and your eccentric lifestyle on YouTube, and you start getting followers, right? And then you start getting views, and then you start getting paid by YouTube, and then you have a freaking base of people that you can market something to one day, right? I mean, it's unbelievable because 2.5 years ago, these hangouts didn't even freaking exist.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Like YouTube is making everything possible for the person to start up anything they ever wanted to do and get seen by millions across the world. I
I think
mean,
that's
millions.
I think that's like really how it really, like you said, blew up. It was by these YouTube, not even the Hangouts, but when you first started, you've had people you followed, whether it's Terminal 99, all of them, and it's like now you look at it, it's like what you're doing too. You're still building a lot more people come into what we do, like thrifting, whether it's the groups that bring us here or the TV shows. I mean, I think it's definitely growing popularity. It's not an easy way of making an income, but I think it's an income where your average Joe or anybody, even somebody without even a college education, can actually do it. You just got to be motivated and have that entrepreneur mind, I think. And I
Yeah.
think it kind of goes with any company or anything. You got to invest a lot of time in it. It's not a quick overnight get rich scheme, you know?
Yeah, it's definitely not one of those get rich kind of things. However, it'll teach you about income streams, which is cool. So like if you learn through picking that eBay exists and then Amazon exists and then FBA exists, and you're like, dang, everyone's getting antique malls, it seems. Okay, so let me go look for an antique mall. You find one, you're like, damn, now I can like start hustling vintage crap I find. And then you start realizing, wait a minute, like now it's not so hard to make the X amount of money I wanted to make per month because you're like, I got money coming in for all different angles, And that's one of the interesting things about, and I don't think YouTube taught me that, of course, but I was taught that by myself, and I just found it out along the way through doing different avenues. And the only reason I got into the antique booth, honestly, was because I loved the American Pickers show. I really did. And I was like, God, I would love to do that kind of stuff here, but can I do it? Where do I put it? I don't have a shop, and I'm certainly not going to build an antique archaeology version of it here in this town. So then I found the antique booth. I don't know, something happened, and I was just searching antique malls so I could get educated more on this like American Pickers type stuff. And then while I was in the mall, this is in the book too, but approached me and was like, hey man, we don't ever see young people coming in through this mall very much. But like, you know, you want a booth? You want to? Maybe you should put a booth. You know, and the rest is kind of like in the book. I mean, 3 years later, I'm still in the antique booth.
What do you sell there?
Anything vintage, man, vintage, retro, and antique. So, you know, antique is, there's always a rule for all this stuff. So antique is, let's just think of antique as like really old stuff. And then think of vintage is right around after that old stuff. And then think of retro as like the past 15 years or so. That's what I like to call retro. So you think you got things in there in the booth. I could put a domino rally, right? All the way down to a fighter controlled jet stick, right? I can do an old mailman bag, or you know, an old VHS of James Bond if I wanted to. I mean, I can put anything old in there: typewriters, boots. The things that sell the most in the booth are pearl snap shirts, boots. I think here, there's so many random things. Pennants are cool. People love old pennants, you know, sports teams and stuff. Just random stuff that you find at garage sales. But the important thing is, yeah, there you go, just like that. The important thing is to know the avenues around you. So if you're an intermediate hustler, I really think that's more of an intermediate step, is to, you know, okay, so you sold on eBay and you sold on Craigslist. That's probably the beginner step, is like eBay, Craigslist. I mean, every beginner is going to be right around there. And then once you get a little bit more, better, then you go into Amazon, then you go into FBA. And then if you start getting like, you know, into good, I would say intermediate leagues, you go, okay, you want to basically find an avenue for everything that you can find at a garage sale or yard sale. You don't want to be turning away from anything. So whether that means outfitting your car to be able to take a motorcycle back and forth, like you got to be able to buy anything you can get your hands on for a sweet deal, because sweet deals exist in every item possible. And if you're turning away your back and getting in your car and just going down the street from something that can be at an antique booth or something, you got to start looking at an antique booth. I mean, that's basically what it comes down to. If you're turning your back away from like puzzles that are newly sealed, and you're like, ah, that's not going to sell on eBay, and you're just walking away, guess what? It's probably going to sell on FBA. You know, you got to get into that kind of stuff. But like I said, in order to get into that kind of stuff, you have to have a little bit more experience. So I would say Craigslist, eBay, with the most easy being Craigslist. I mean, fundamentally, the most easiest. Meet at a gas station so that you don't get creeped out and some weirdo doesn't follow you home. Yeah. But yeah, I mean, just know that if you're going to get into this game, or if you're in this game already, there are so many ways to get better at it that you might have heard us talking on our videos, or you hear it echoed in some other weird hangout. There are ways to get better. You don't just have to build an ebook or something and you're like, oh, my life's going to be set if I build this ebook. It's not true. You got to have multiple streams of income coming through, because you never know when one stream is just going to crash, do you wrong. You know, you got to have your streams up.
Yeah, because even eBay's new rules is like, you know, you get the 5% defect rate, they boot you. And for a new seller, that's only like a couple sales, and they'll boot you. But I think it's kind of getting a little crazy with the whole new defect rate. But I'm sure they'll fix it here in the next couple months. I mean, nothing's ever perfect when it first comes out. It really isn't. I'm sure FBA wasn't perfect when it first came out. They got to work on some things, and I know they have 11 main coming, and I'm hearing some stuff about that. And I mean, nothing's ever perfect anything first version, you know, whether it was like a Nintendo or something. Although I did like Nintendo.
Mm-hmm.
I have two of them. My dog ate the first one, ate the wires to it. Oh, it was horrible.
You know, just like you said with the companies, they're always going through iterations and this and that. All those things that are happening are just, they're seeing where their failures are and they're correcting them, right? That's all they're doing. They're evolving. It's no different than a hustler out there that is trying to make money. Or you're never going to be good right around, like straight out of the box. You're not going to be good. You're going to lose some money here and there. But for those that realize that making money comes down to emulating others in the field that are really good at what they do, that's definitely something you can do. Find good free groups. I've been saying this now at least for a year, but find some free groups, be a part of them, join them, see how you like them, and then scout the paid content too, right? Just see what's good for you there, because now in our YouTube genre of pickers, resellers, hustlers, whatever you call it, there's paid content now all over the place, so you can find it. And I'm not going to say mine's the best. and I'm not going to say anyone else's is better than mine. I'm just going to say it's out there. And I definitely think if you guys want to make less mistakes, consider those things. It's just one of those things. I mean, how do you learn how to do anything correctly in life? You gotta either read a guide or buy a tutorial, attend a seminar, go to a class. All those things are paid. All those things are pretty much, if you want to get the right kind of information, you ought to be paying for those things. So just, I don't know, it's up to you.
It's also good too, like if you need any help, like whether if you need to buy something, or if you think it's a good deal but you don't know, or if you don't know the brand, always take a picture and post up on the groups, because I get those all the time, and I mean,
Yeah.
answering those questions, I think you do the same thing. I mean, it's really good. It helps us too, because one of us may not know the brand or what it is, or whatever they're selling, and then they see someone like, oh, that could be worth, whether it's glass or something. Like, let's take, for example, glass. I don't know anything about glassware or crystal, but yet someone posts a picture about a pattern or some sort of different way, blown glass or something, and you see that they're like, oh, $100, $200, $300. That's going to catch your attention. You'd be like, wow, okay, maybe I'll try this out too and see what I can find from this.
Yeah.
The groups help, I think, in like a million different ways. Same thing with the videos. I mean, I don't know about you, but how I first started, I sat down and watched videos, and I would take notes. I'd write down notes and about like items that were really good items to buy and stuff. So, like you said, make less mistakes. That's what it's all about. Because we all want to be making money at the end of the day, not losing money.
Yeah, that's true. I mean, the cost of mistakes. There's the cost of mistakes, and there's the cost of like buying something that you shouldn't have bought. Which, that's not quite a mistake. You might still make a little bit of money on it, but certainly not a lot. So there's that money that you could be saving too. There's just a lot. I mean, when you join the groups, like Kevin said, whether paid or free, you're going to be getting those kind of benefits right as one of the primary benefits, right? You post something, you're unsure about it, bam, tons of responses, and yeah. The only thing is, I kind of caution against that kind of mentality where you're like, oh, well, this is easy. I don't ever want the person to think, well, this is easy. All I gotta do is just like walk around the store, snapping pictures and throwing them on the group, and they're gonna tell me what to buy it or not. Like, you gotta be able to know basic researching skills. I mean, which is like, if you got a smartphone, type it into eBay, type in the product, and then put a space, and then put Craigslist, and then all the Craigslist ads of that product around the USA will pull up, get an accurate market price of what you could charge for the item in your Craigslist. But do some basic research. I'm just hoping we don't ever get to that day in our room where it's just a bunch of posts saying, should I or should I not, or yes or no, or, and those kind of posts are just like, we want to train the right we want to train the right kind of person, and the right kind of person's going to know the tips, the steps to get to then saying, okay, well, I put this into eBay and X came up as sold. However, I don't know if this is the correct model for this, and can I get it's like the person went and did the right things, still confused, goes to the group. Like, that's where it's like, now you're almost like a self-surviving kind of hustler. You're getting very good, as opposed to the one that just says Y or N, like sometimes it can get kind of crazy. It's just like a yes or no. And I'm thinking on my head, like, I don't know. Like, I always like to train on thought processes ever since my channel started up. To be a good hustler, you got to know how to research effectively, right? And then use the group or groups or paid groups or free groups as like I can't make my decision. I don't know if I'm going to do this right. Now I need to bring it to the group, right? Like, yeah. I think that would be cool, because then other people in the group realize, like, oh, it takes that kind of thought process first to get to that, and then you bring it to the group. Like, I think that would be helpful. But I don't know, people. I mean, we want the group to be open to everybody, and I'm sure you want your group open to every single person known to man. So, and that's, at the end of the day, we want to help as many people. We don't ever think we're better than anybody, so we just want to bring a bunch of like-minded people together to discuss reselling and hustling and stuff like that, just like your group. No different.
It's cool we do, because I know you love talking about this. I remember, what was it, a couple nights ago, you were on it for like, maybe you were there after I was, and this was one of the Green Room private hangouts. But you were sitting there. It wasn't like, oh, hey, how's it going? This, that. I mean, you were talking about everything, like, you know, from how you started. I mean, kind of like an interview here, but it was like 3 hours, and you talked a lot because you were trying to help them figure out what to do when how you first started and what you did and what items you bought and stuff like that, trying to keep everybody from the same mistake. And you're also talking about other more advanced stuff too. I think that was really cool.
Yeah, I'm definitely going to go into a little bit more advanced stuff in the Green Room Hangouts, like not the ones that you see on Green Room, like every Tuesday that the public ones get to see, or the general public gets to see, but the ones inside the room where it's almost like a workshop. So if you join the Green Room, and ask Kevin about this like in a month or two, right? See if he thinks it's worth it for you guys to get in. But I mean, I think guys should get into the Green Room regardless because, I mean, Kevin, you know,
I liked it.
it's really cool. I mean, it's an amazing thing, and for me to sit back and go, wow, like I'm a creator of this. Like I can't even like put my head around it anymore because I'm like, this is way more amazing than I ever thought it was going to be already, and I can't imagine what 2 or 3 or 4 years down the road is going to look like. It's got to be unbelievable. But I'm just trying to stay as humble as possible. I mean, it's the place to be. Like if if you want to learn more about it, take the step forward. Go for paid content. If you're hungry for that, you know, if you're super hungry for that, I mean, Kevin, I can see that you are. We talked the other day, and you were hungry that day, and then after I talked to you guys, not about Green Room, just about what's, you know, just the thought processes and all the random stuff that we talked about in the 3 hours, you're like, yeah, you know, just this talk, like you can just tell, like if your room's like this is where I would like to be a member, and
Yeah,
it's like that. We really try to make people, you know, feel super good about their hustles. If they make incorrect hustles, we tell them like where it went wrong or whatever, and we prevent bad hustles from happening a lot. So that's one of the best parts about it too.
yeah, I think it's fun just because, like you said, smaller. And I remember one of the things I said. I think when we had like 4,000 members, I said to the guy, my creators of the group, you know, you could pop up the Facebook group chat, and there's just four of us that we chat all the time now because we kind of lost touch for a little while. And then like 2 months ago, I'm like, hey, you guys, I miss you guys. You know, we need to get back to basics. I miss talking to you guys every day, just about anything. I mean, because I was doing a lot of the YouTube channel and selling a lot, so I didn't have much time. And then like we talk like every single day now, like nonstop about what we're gonna do with the group, how we're all benefit, what we're gonna do to make the group better. Like we just made a whole actually new rules, but it's like we don't want any double post-ins. We don't want any negative attitude with like eBay or Amazon. We kind of want to keep it positive.
Yeah.
Because I feel like if you keep it positive in the room positive, everyone's going to be happy about selling these positive. And
Yeah.
a lot of the items there too. Like I always suggest people doing haul videos. I like seeing what they're buying. I think that's really cool. And it's hard for everyday people to do in front of the camera, do haul videos who've never done it. I mean, I think it's intimidating. That's how I felt when I first started. And but the more you get in front of camera, the more you used to be, and the more I think you can enjoy everybody else that does this. Because again, there's not my girlfriend doesn't care about, you know, if I sold something that day or what I talk about, and my friends roll their eyes when I talk about eBay. So it's like it's hard sometimes where I can come back. I can hang out with you guys and be like, oh, you know, it motivates me.
Yeah, absolutely. And so to echo on that, yeah, in the Green Room itself, we will have those private hangouts that'll come out of the blue. A lot of times they're started by members. Okay, so like within our own Facebook group, we have very highly aspiring members in hustling starting their own hangouts within our group, and we encourage this completely. I mean, this has got to be one of the best part about. I mean, I never foresee this happening when I started a group. Is basically someone like doing their own micro green room hangout in the green room. Like it was weird, and then I was like, well, it's an open hangout, so I could even join it. And then I get in there, and everyone's like, dude, it's the Bonafide Hustler. But I'm like, no, let's talk about stuff like, you know, like I'll answer your questions, and I want to see what you guys are hustling. And so I never try to act any better than any people. Like, hey, oh man, like I don't want to act any better, but I do have experience, so I understand that people are just like, oh, like he's got the experience. I want to get as much information out of this guy as possible. Um, but I still want to help everyone else out. You know, it's like, let me see your hustles, man. Let me see everyone's hustles. Let's talk about these things. So these hangouts are going to be, I mean, I think we're seeing the beginning of it, Kevin. Like they're going to probably be every single day at
Yeah.
any given time. You join a hangout and introduce yourself, get around super like that are just there talking about something, right? The topic is typically like anything it wants to be. It's always like hustling related. Or if God, there was one amazing post today in the green room, Kevin, made by KDC. I'll just say it like that. Did you see that post earlier?
What was it about?
It regarded a store that was at 75% off on random things
Oh,
today.
yeah. About
Dude,
how?
I was like blown away. I was like, geez, if I could just break away from my schedule and go to this store, like I could probably
A
find
couple
this
people are
stuff.
like, man, I wish I lived closer to her so they can go down there and wipe them out, man. Because 75% off, like she said, Barnes and Noble, a few of the places, and I mean, if you can get stuff like that, and you know they sell really good on like whether it's Amazon or somewhere else, that's a good place to source. It's hard too, though. It's very rare to see sales like that.
Yeah, I think it was like a one-day thing, but anyway, that's the green room. You got people that are like, all right, so I basically killed, all the, ways to do it in my town here, and then, so I'm gonna put it on the green room because other people might have these stores, and sure enough, there was a bunch of other posts like, oh, I went to some, thank you, that was amazing. I dropped $1,000, like, and bought, or about $200 worth of stuff that's got 1,000+ resale value. I'm just like, okay, this is awesome. So that's one of the things you get from these rooms. I mean, whether it be free or paid, God, just get up on your education, guys out there. I know there are a lot of new people coming into the resale space. Tell them about the free pages. Tell them about the paid pages. Tell them about everyone's product that they're building. Taking time out of their hustling and building products. I mean, not to swindle the groups or the economy or the thrifting people or anything like that. Just trying to get a little reward for the amount of time they're putting into something and the amount of mistakes that they've made. They're basically just trying to get, uh, you know, and it's also a pride thing when you have something published, for example, or you build a group of 6,000 people,
Yeah.
like that's pretty proud. I mean, Kevin, it's like you got to take that one thing we talked about the other day. I was like, figure out something in your life you're super amazing at, and then build like a really small, cheap guide for it. Market it to your people, man. Like, they're not going to hate you for it. If it's something you're super good at, I guarantee you there are people out there that are struggling with that one thing. And they're like, gosh, I wish something would be made for this one thing. I would buy it.
I'm like, dude, I'm like you. If I put my effort into a guide or a book, which I'm seriously starting to think about now, probably after December, it takes so much time and energy, like you said. It's like, but I want it to be perfect. I'm the same way. I'm like, I think I had whatever OCD or whatever, and I have to have it perfect because of my standards or anything. It's like it'll never get out. I think you're the same way right now with the bike book. You want the book to be perfect, and
Yeah,
nothing's ever
unfortunately.
perfect when you're trying to do something.
That's unfortunately, like, it's a characteristic I think a lot of people have, Kevin, is that they want to start something and a couple of things happen. They're like, oh, I don't know what people are going to think about me if I put this out. Like, that's one thing that people think about. They're like, what if it's not good, right? No one wants to be associated with failure. What people don't understand is that if you're a hustler or you're an entrepreneur or business person, whatever you want to call it, failure is absolutely essential. You need to fail because without failing, there's no success. I mean, failure is success. It's just a small step towards there. The final chapter of everyone's book is going to be like the one amazing thing that they're always known for. Now, whether that makes money for them or not, it's a different story. But it's going to be something, right? They say it's your legacy. So everything up to that final chapter, whatever you're going to amount to, is basically a one big failure. Like, I failed at a lot of things. I failed at a bunch of things. Green Room might be a failure. I have no idea, but I'm sure going to try it, and I'm going to give my best shot at it, and I'm going to, because I believe in it, right? I believe in helping people out, man. I built a book, and I still believe about helping people out. I'm going to be building a workout channel too, because I realize there are a lot of people out there that want to experience a really good life, but they're stuck with, a really tough job, or they can't move around very well. So I want to make a channel for that too, and I'm really good at that as well. I've been known to be a fitness geek, So I'm making a channel for that, and there probably will be paid things involved with that channel, but that's okay. Um, you just got to do a lot of things with your life. You got to realize that you have to fail. Like if I've automatically failed if I hadn't started it. If I didn't do it, I've automatically failed. You know.
I think you gotta
So
try it once.
you got to try, man. You got to try. I mean, even Katie Patton, for example, today on Facebook. I mean, sweet girl. We've interviewed her, I think twice, maybe three times.
I've
Talked to
been,
her behind the scenes.
so we
Sweet
both.
girl in the community, 13,000 subscribers or so. I mean, just makes an amazing amount of videos, everything. She's going to build an e-guide, right? And I can tell in the way that she made her message that she's a little worried about maybe potential backlash from the community, right? Because some of the community has lashed out on paid products, and that's okay. I'm not going to say it's right. I'm not going to say it's wrong, but it's certainly not conducive to helping and supporting other people that want to do what they love to do. That's for sure. So sweet old Katie Patton's just like, I'm going to try as hard as I can to make this guide. I would just want the support, and everyone just gives her a thumbs up. When her guide comes out, I'm pretty sure it's going to be completely amazing because anything Katie Patton makes is amazing. But there's going to be some backlash, and some people handle it differently than others. And all I got to say, Katie, is if you ever watch this program or someone relays this message to her, don't ever worry about haters. Kevin, same to you. Don't ever worry about haters. Haters come with success. If you're going down the right road, you're going to get them. And there's nothing you can do about it. I mean, but just like I said, if you never try, you have failed. So
Yeah.
you don't ever want to fail. Doesn't matter what it is. Doesn't have to be hustling related. I mean, if you got good intentions and you got a great idea, you better do it.
I think what we do is like one big chance. You gotta take that chance to get your feet wet first. I mean, whether you have to invest a little bit of money into it, but it really doesn't take that much money to start up with what we do. It could be that one item that really pays off for you.
Yeah, that's true. I mean, a lot of people, I mean, I always like to say when you get into the game, put some money aside. The money that you risk in trading or in stocks should be money you're willing to lose. The money in hustling, if you do the right amount of research and everything, you can get the statistics completely in your favor. You can get the odds completely in your favor. You just have to know how to research. You have to know what items are the ones to be looking for. And then you have to know market dynamics, like what constitutes a really thick versus a thin market. And I think a lot of people go wrong right there. They don't understand what thin versus thick means when it comes to marketplace. So people are just like, oh, I hustled this, I hustled that. I saw 2 sold in the past 90 days on eBay. And you're like, dude, like 2, like that means your money's going to be held for quite a long time, probably. If there's 660 sold in the past 90 days on eBay, now you're talking a real market, right? That's a market where the product probably will sell. If you make tiny adjustments to the price, you don't have to go crazy, but maybe micro adjustments, I think it'll sell pretty quick. So there's some things you have to understand as a beginner, that's for sure.
Yeah, I think that's definitely a big part of it, and that's an awesome point you made right there. Was definitely.
Yeah, let's go into the questions real quick. I'm going to answer a couple more before we get out of here. Could you post some info on how to join the green room? Yeah, Kevin will post that up after the show becomes a real show, I'm pretty sure. If not, you can look at the end of, or the description fields of my videos for at least the past 50 videos. It'll have green room stuff all up in the click boxes and everything.
And by the way, products, because he's been really active in the comments. He said you can go to Bonafide's Facebook links to Green Room there. Actually,
Yeah.
It's on your page, right? Yeah, on Facebook, and then the links there to join. Or you can even just type in the Green Room on Facebook.
Yeah, you might find it. You'll know you're on the right one if it says Cuarto Verde. I think it's Facebook / Cuarto Verde or something like that. Malo Jimmy says, don't share your secrets with Kevin, LOL. That's pretty funny. Anyway, Malo Jimmy is a Green Room member as well, just so you know.
Okay. I wasn't sure if that was somebody just like, I didn't know if they were serious or not. I kept looking at that comment. I'm like, is he serious? I don't know what the heck.
No, it's all cool, man. Mothership Products. See, I know these people by their actual names in the green room, but he's in the green room. One of the best investments in myself I've ever made. So he's referring to the green room. Who else do we have? Are you talking, Kevin?
That was a dog sniffing.
Oh, I was like, you look like you're just talking into space. Okay. Oh, never mind. Okay.
No, that's my dog.
Yeah, there's a bunch of people.
Do you guys know if it was one? Oh, do you know if Deal Spot Houston wants to know if that sale that Katie did was a 1 day sale at the places that she got the 75% off?
I think we should just leave it at that, dude. We'll leave it as it's a green room thing. Like, you got to be
Yeah,
in it. We don't want to like give too much stuff out. Mothership products. When am I getting married? Don't know yet. It's an interesting question. Picker 399, Bonafide Hustler. I know your big garage sale day is on Saturday. A lot of people do garage sales on Friday and Saturday. Do you think you're missing some great finds if not going to the sales on Fridays? I go to sales on Fridays if they're not super far away from my house, here and there. It just depends. I still do look every Thursday night at what Friday will look like, and I have scored great things on Fridays, but I don't go every single Friday.
I like how Ronnie Hart does it. He has like his Fridays and Saturdays already scheduled out by like exactly where he's going to go at the times and everything. And I know he's had awesome success with that. I mean, sometimes he'll even go to a place where it's just 2-pack. He'll go on to the next one on his list, and he'll have it like in a row, like so, like wherever he drives, he knows he's going to drive out of his way, but he's going to like he'll drive there and then make like a complete circle. I think it's really good to have a set schedule.
Mm-hmm.
I've been really lately into doing the estate sales.
Wait, say again?
I've been doing really good in the estate sales. I think I went to one a couple weeks ago after I hit the mother load on that, the one I was able to get a free an early preview in. But I went to one a few weeks ago where there was a few stuff. Like I've never had a problem finding stuff at estate sales, whether it was the first day or the last day. I feel like the last day you're definitely going to get, sometimes they do like half off or buy one get one free if they have the same item. I've seen that at some estate sales down here. Especially if they have a lot left over on Saturdays, because Saturdays are their last day. They don't do Sundays around here.
Oh, really? Yeah, we Sundays here in this town, they go 50 off usually.
Yeah.
Usually, but there's usually nothing good left either. So, Mallow Jimmy says Friday garage sales have too much traffic. Maybe in Houston, in Austin, they're not bad. There's one more I wanted to address real quick here.
Again, if you have any comments, make sure you leave the comments because we're going to probably wrap up here in 10 minutes.
Okay, yeah, there's one about, can you tell me about the Facebook, the Craigslist? Okay, Digger Tech says, can somebody tell me that part again? How do you research something on Craigslist? Okay, so like, you got to know a little bit about your town, first of all. So like, I know in Austin, Texas, for example, center part of the USA, we have a lake nearby. We got a lot of open ranch land, all that kind of stuff. So I know that what sells well here would be cycling-related product. Everyone's a big outdoorsy junkie here, right? So if you go out on any time of the day, you're more likely going to see people in like workout gear and Lululemon stuff, and just people that are staying fit their entire lives. Like that's what Austin is. It's like very few sedentary people. Let's put it that way, right? People are always outside, always riding bikes, always doing things. So the outdoor market in this town is huge. Like it's very good, and also, anything lake-related goods are very highly desired here. Ranch-type items are highly desired here too. Hunting's a big thing in Texas. So that's what I know about my town. You always have to know a little bit about your town before you go research things in other Craigslist. So to put it in perspective is like if you're in San Diego Craigslist, for example. San Diego, it's by the ocean, right? The weather is nice nearly all times of the year. They don't really have ranch land unless you get into the middle part of the state. They got a lot of cars. People are kind of superficial there, at least where my parents live, right? They're very big on showing their money off and things like that. They always want to wear really cool, expensive stuff. So you know that. So like if you take a surfboard, for example, in Austin, Texas, if I buy a surfboard here, it's going to be kind of hard to move it here. Okay, but it doesn't mean that I can't research it. So I can type in the surfboard name while I'm at a garage sale, and I can put the surfboard name, Craigslist, and then press search. All right, and I'm talking about in Google, and then it'll come up with all these surfboard prices across the nation, right, from coast to coast. And you got to consider that kind of stuff. And those are the decisions you have to be making in your head. Like, okay, can I sell this surfboard here in Austin, Texas? The closest coastline is Houston, Galveston, which is like the Gulf of Mexico, which really has no surf. So your buyer is probably gonna be someone outside of this town, so you better get a super sweet deal on this board because you're gonna have to move it at a price that's probably half of the price of a board that could be sold in California, for example, in San Diego, because they have a beach right there. The market is ready to go. It's ripe, right? Surfboards are exchanging hands backwards and forwards in San Diego. Here, no, not happening. So you got to be smart about that when I do research. Now, when I research something like a bicycle, something that's a little bit more universal in people's lives, right? Across the USA, people have bikes in their garage pretty much everywhere you go. And so that's something. I put that bike name plus Craigslist. I hit search, and then it's going to come back with a certain number. You're going to get a bunch of numbers. You're going to get Craigslist New York, Craigslist freaking Virginia, Craigslist North Dakota, South Dakota, Montana. All sorts of cities with that model and that bike, plus what the people are asking for at that given time on Craigslist. And then I just try to take, if I see, okay, so the bike's selling for, it's being asked for at 250 here, 200 here, here's one for 325. You look at the condition of your bike, you go, all right, this one's pretty nice actually, so I'm gonna price mine for 300, right? So you don't go for the very top. You never try to outdo the top if you can't. I mean, I live in a very good bike town, so I can get the top if I want, but if you want to move it pretty fast, then you don't go for the middle point either, because then you're really cheating yourself. Right below the top, that's all you do. Right below the top a little bit by like 20 bucks, and you'll be fine. But that's what I know about my town. If your town isn't like my town and it isn't as lucrative in bicycles as my town, even Houston, Texas, for example, place 3 hours away from here, not a huge biking town. So they're probably, the same bike would sell for like 250 there that would sell for 300 here, right? So you just got to know about your town when you do that Craigslist kind of stuff.
Yeah, so it's like things are different over here where I live, actually kind of similar to you, but like I don't know about out there, but fishing's huge out here. So every garage sale in the states I go to, it always has fishing gear. So I live right next to the beach. So it's like learn that stuff, or you can just figure out something else that's in like your region. Now, what do you find that's a quick seller in your antique booths? Like, what would be your fastest seller?
The fastest selling thing in the antique booth to date has either been antler related goods, like game mounted things, animal or an entire animal, the head of it, of course. That on a mount sells fast. And then storefront letters, porcelain, backlit, plastic, thin sheet aluminum, thin sheet metal ones. Just storefront letters. They can be current day down to straight up vintage with a sweet patina on them, That sells super fast. You can sell each individual letter. You don't have to spell out anything. Just price every letter out individually, throw them in the booth, bam, gone. They start moving like day one.
Yeah, that's just type of stuff out here. It's hard for me to find the vintage, like the old rusty ones, the signs and stuff like that, like the stuff you see on American Pickers.
Mm-hmm.
Stuff like that's really hot. Ducks, like Duck Dynasty stuff right now is hot. Like, what are they, wooden ducks? I know up in North Carolina you can find those fairly easy. Down here, again, can't find them. Everything.
Yeah, you can't find those here either, man.
I wish, man. They're worth some money.
Absolutely.
Let me see. Mr. Sadie says, what is your definition of a hater? Should you consider negative feedback or always dismiss it?
It depends on what. So I guess negative feedback on
an item?
I'll just address it in a couple of respects. So like a hater. So usually you won't have a hater on like eBay or anything. No one's going to be, very few people are like really repeat buyers, right? Let's face it. So I don't think you're going to have a hater like, don't buy from this guy, like this guy sucks. Like if you messed up an item or you messed up packing an item or you messed up shipping an item, that's on you. So you got to clean that up real quick, right? But don't let that deter you from realizing the income stream that eBay can provide for you, just so you know. But clean up your mess, right? Like if you're going to ship something off, like make it look good. Regarding if he's talking about what's my definition of a hater, like maybe in YouTube land, a hater is, I guess, someone that, what I've found recently is some people that just support the hell out of you, and then all of a sudden you do something, I don't know, like you do something that's in line with your values, and then they just get on you for it, right? So it's kind of weird. Like if I'm called the Bonafide Hustler, I'm looking at hustling I mean, looking at money opportunities everywhere I go. Like, that's what I do. Doesn't matter what it is. Like, I just do that. That's in my head. Like, I'm looking for money opportunities everywhere. And it's not that I'm greedy or anything. It's just that if there's a need and I can be a provider, then why not be the provider, right? Like, why not do that? Because if I don't do it, then
Some,
someone else will do it. And then I'm going to
mhm.
look back and go, but I am that smart. Like, why can't I do it? So instead of getting that feeling, I foresee that feeling and I go, I don't want to feel like that. And I never want to feel like that. So if I see an opportunity, I'm going to be jumping on it fast as hell. Like, that's just what I do. I jump on opportunities and I like doing it. But I'm not going to jump on opportunities that are scammy, and I'm not going to pair up with scammy individuals. So I pair up with correct people, people that believe in the same stuff that I believe, and we form alliances and we form, a joint product like our 100 Amazing Items to Resell guide, which I tell you the hater part of that is, and we'll probably be done with the program after this, but let me just touch on this real quick. There's some people that are just, and I don't see it this way, so I have to bring this up because it's a peculiar way of thinking, and I think it's absolutely incorrect. But that you can, when there's a guide available or a group available, there's a group of people, not saying who they are, just a random group of people that at one time supported you, but then they just turn around and they go, why would anyone support this group? Why would anyone get into this group? You can get all the information for free online. And I'm like, of course you can do that with anything, right? You can do that with home dentistry if you want, right? You can work on your own teeth if you really wanted to. You could. If you get the right mirrors and everything and you know exactly where to hit correctly and everything, you can probably get it done. The real question is why even chance it? Why make mistakes? And why go down that road investing all that time to do it correctly? Like, when you can pay a small amount of money and learn it immediately, right? Or have professionals take care of it for you. Or it's the same thing with, like, I guess, changing oil on a sports car. It's like, if you look at yourself as a sports car, then get your oil changed by a professional. Does that make sense?
No,
Like, don't try to lift your sports car up in the air with a jack that's going to ruin it, right? And don't try to put the wrong oil in it and all that stuff. And yeah, you might get it done the first time. You're going to make mistakes somewhere here and there. It's going to cost you money. Like, why not just pay someone to get it done? Like, anyway, so that's why it exists. That's why paid things exist everywhere you go, whether it be Napoleon Hill's Think and Grow Rich book versus anything else. It's that he learned something valuable in life that has taught him, like, and he realized that there were errors in human thinking all over. Wherever he looked, there were errors in human thinking, and he was like, I'm going to build this book, correct everything. And now in history, that book is one of the best books you'll ever find, like, ever, on the subject of just getting started in business, like, just called Think and Grow Rich. So to go back to my original, um, I think people really underestimate the amount of information that I can give or Raykin can give, College Picker, Retro Aficionado, Gil Mama, Gil Daddy, Picking Profits. When they say they need some, when they make something and it's a paid thing, for example, or they're asking you to click on ads on their website, for example, if that happens, they're just trying to get back, reward for what they've done with their lives and the mistakes and time they're putting into their own project. They want to get rewarded for that, and there's nothing wrong with that. That's what an entrepreneur is. That's what a hustler does. So the people that make those kind of comments, the haters, I can only imagine what kind of people they really are behind the scenes. Like, are they business people? Are they entrepreneurs? Or are they just random people behind the scenes that are just making a quick, like, I wish I thought about that. I'm just gonna ramble on this guy real quick and see if it affects him, which it doesn't. But that's what I think a hater is. I think in our community, a hater is somebody that tries to take down something that is absolutely valuable to the community. They just think that they're going to research and find all the information. Do you think, Kevin, let me ask you this question. Do you think you could find out all 100 of those items in that guide?
I already
How long
told
would
you.
it, how
I
long would
already
it
told
take?
you. I didn't even know over, I want to say 70 of the items he had in there. I mean, lanterns, like what was it, the Craftsman lanterns, or what
Keep it
lanterns?
confidential. Hold on.
Oh, I'm sorry.
Yeah, yeah.
Anyways, there's a lot of stuff in there that I didn't even know about, but now I know from that book that
Hmm.
I can go into a store. and not have to rely just on clothing or something that I already know. I can actually go outside the box and know how good of an item it's going to be. And that's why I was like, as soon as I saw that, then the membership, I'm like, huh, this is definitely worth it because $40 compared to free. I paid extra $60 and you get it for free. So
Yeah.
it's awesome that way. It is beneficial, and I see exactly where you're coming from because if I just started out and we didn't have any of this stuff, whether the videos or the free Facebook groups, and you're able to have the paid group, I think I still would be beneficial because somebody's taking a risk trying to figure out if it's going to work for them, and it's for a serious person that took the investment. It's going to actually sit down and take it serious. Besides, not that person like you said earlier that like, oh, how much should I list this for? Without really giving any research. And of course, you can write back, well, what does your research tell you? I mean, you can either go into it, not know anything, or learning from you guys. And again, you guys are always in there helping everybody out, so it's not like you never hear from you guys, you know?
Yeah. Um, but yeah, I mean, I guess what I want to say is like we made that guide, the 100 amazing things to resell, or 100 amazing items to resell. We made the guide with 100 really amazing items that pay us regular profits throughout the years. I mean, these are items that all four of us, the admin group of Green Room, have just found regularly on a regular basis. So we just noticed that, and we were just putting it in a guide, and we're like, all right, this is going to make people money, and that's just basically what it comes down to. If you would like to try to figure out what the 100 things are outside of the guide, then more power to you. I just think it's going to take a lot of time, and the time. I'm just wondering how much time people really have then. Like, how successful of a hustler must you be if you're going to really that thought process to me doesn't even register. So
I mean,
um,
that's a really good question to you. Like, I've been wanting to ask you earlier, how many times a week do you think between all your sources of income and how much time a week do you think you put into it?
doing everything that's hustling
Everything,
related.
sourcing, green room, everything.
Uh, 50 to 60 is my first guess. 50 to
Yeah.
60. I do a fair amount in the green room, that's for sure. And then there's things that people don't see behind the scenes, the conference calls and all that stuff, and where we're headed and all that kind of stuff that takes away from our hustle. Like there are a lot of things that people don't see.
No, no, I
Or
meant with hustling.
editing videos, like all this stuff takes so much time, and this is the thing. So for all the haters, for all the people that like, hey, don't like the decision you're making, Bonafide, or don't like the way you're heading out there in YouTube land, and it's tarnishing your name and whatever. So, look, I'm still gonna be making free videos. They're always gonna be chocked full of great content, and I'm still gonna be myself, and I'm still gonna lose my mind on my videos, and that's just the way it's gonna be. I'm not gonna do what like Drive and Drive Plus did. If you're an auto aficionado, you know exactly what I'm talking about. I'm not just gonna go straight to paid, and that's all I'm doing. I'm gonna stay in the free realm for quite a long time. Same with my fitness channel, and that's just I don't want people to think like they're not gonna get any good information out of me. We reserve a lot of the really good information for the green room. Don't get me wrong, but there's still plenty. I know so much, and so does College Picker, so does Raken, and so does Retro. We know enough to put in both places, but we just take an extra amount of care to the green room. We do, but we're not going to stop making videos. So, if you love Rake and Profit, you love his videos, you're going to see a lot more. You're still going to see Rake and Profit, and making great hauls and things to look out for. So don't worry about that kind of stuff, guys. And honestly, out there, people really try hard to, ever since YouTube and I started YouTube and got into YouTube, I have never once hit a downvote, like ever. So, I mean, honestly, guys out there, if you're gonna hit the down like button, the like, thumbs down, whatever it's called, like button, really think hard about your life and like why you're doing these kind of things and why you truly are doing that maneuver with your hands and going like down, I hate these people. Like, why? Like, bring it to our attention. Come at me on Facebook. Come at me on YouTube. Like, just tell us why. Like, and when you come out there and say why, please don't come with the notion of you can just get it free, because that's getting exhausting. It's not a plausible part of the argument. I mean, it really isn't, because free is time. Like, it takes time. Like, that's what people don't realize. I'm like, are you serious? Why am I getting all these comments? But like, free is time. Time is money. I've said in my book, there are like 2 chapters in my book. Time is money. So yes, go free if you want to. It's okay. Go paid if you want to. That's where I'll be.
Budget Food actually said a good comment. He said, "From the sounds of the green room, sounds like an excellent value to those in the USA for sure." I'm guessing he's probably from a different country, and
Um, yeah, probably from UK more than likely. I mean, we get some UK people commenting a lot. It's probably besides Canada, it's like the third demographic or country that actually listens to my videos. So, um, I would say, look, I mean, hustling is universal. You're going to get some great, great, great information from both free and paid. We don't know anything about the UK, so can something work there versus here? We're going to show you things that sell here. I can't imagine that truly the opportunities are that much different, but I'm sure they are different, right? You guys got different food, you guys got different everything, different grocery, different FBA products. Maybe not even an FBA exists there. I don't know, but the essence of hustling is inherently the same. So we have a person from Australia in the green room. Kevin, did you even know that?
no, I didn't.
Yeah, we got someone from Australia in there. So if an Australian is seeking to educate themselves through the green room and is loving it, I'm pretty sure someone from the UK can find the same amount of value.
Last question. Pick in Las Vegas says, Bonafide Hustler, how do you know how much to price your items in your antique booth? Which is actually a good question because I know you price things differently on eBay. How would you price them on the antique booth, and where would you find that stuff to price it?
Okay, so how do you know how much to price your items in your booth? Comes from experience. That and it comes from me learning my own internal market for that booth. So not any one or two or three booths are going to be the same. The closest booth to us is one in a town that's like 15 minutes and has a completely different customer base, I'd like to say. But also, we're in Texas, so Texans are going to like Texas things, and people that come out of Texas and that come to Texas are like, wow, cowboy hats, wow, cowboy boots, whoa, pearl snap shirt. So you get a lot of those purchased too because it's just a really interesting novelty factor to that kind of stuff. Lassos, cowboy. I mean, when you think of Cali, you think of surfers. You think of like a cowboy hat, a longhorn, boots, you know what I'm saying? Steer, ranch land, like big tough boys, like that kind of stuff. So those kind of things are going to still sell in Texas. Because one thing about Texas people is, or Texas people are, they love, they absolutely love the state. So we're proud to be Texans. So people with in Texas have houses littered with like Texas crap. I mean, like little collectibles and crap, right? Like, and that's what my booth has. It's a bunch of good stuff. Yeah, okay, it's crap, but like, it's good stuff that I paid nothing for, and like, basically, it's up there. And how do I price it? Because I realize, like, okay, my cowboy boots are. I have three different ranges. I have a $20 buyer, I have a $40 buyer, and I have a $60 buyer. But for some reason, there's nothing in between, and there's nothing over 60 for some reason too. So that came over time. You have to put a little bit of wrench time to understand a market, just like eBay, just like Amazon. Understanding a market is key, and you only do that by marking down prices, marking up prices, looking for the right kind of things to put in the booth, and then just going off your head, right? If you throw a pair of boots into the booth, they sell that same exact day, you know you made a mistake. And when you find those boots again, or that style, then you know to price them a little higher. Maybe they belong in the upper tier, right? Like, so I'm just talking about boots, but that's just one of the things that I've found. Storefront letters, anytime I find them, I try to get more and more out of them every single time because I'm not, when my first batch of letters that I put them at like 30 or 45 a piece, something like that. Dude, they were gone like within 3 days. And I was like really upset about that, but I was happy with the money, but the next batch I got, then I put them at $45, you know what I'm saying? Like at the upper tier.
Yeah.
And then those took like a week, and then I was like, damn, the next ones I put, it's like you put them at 55, 57, almost 60. It's kind of weird. So you got to understand your markets, and that's how I price things out. It's because I understand what belongs in my booth, what doesn't.
Yeah, I think it's kind of difficult because on eBay, people kind of set their own price market, and in an antique booth, you kind of, like you said, have to feel it out.
Say what? Say it again?
I said it's kind of like on eBay where the price is kind of already there for you if you do a little bit of research, but in an antique booth, it's kind of like trial and error. You make your own you set your own price point.
Yeah, one of the things that in the antique booth I would say is the most um, it's a pit that you can fall into pretty quick, so you gotta be careful about this. This is one of the largest learnings I had of the booth, is that you start a sale, like you get a, okay, so like you have a booth, and I don't know, I have like 300 or 500 items in my booth right now, something like that. So when I am like, oh man, sales are kind of slow, so I go, okay, you have two decisions to make at that point. One of the decisions is you can reorganize, well, you have three actually. One is you can reorganize your inventory. Believe it or not, if you have an antique booth and you start putting things in different places, things have a better chance of selling. It's called freshening up your booth, okay? You freshen it up, like you just start altering the way it looks, and okay, so that can help. Now, it can still get stale, and the second thing you do is you have the option is you can actually start marking down your products with these labels, right? You've seen these before.
Yes.
Okay, so you put them over your actual tag, and you go, okay, instead of 50, this is now 35 bucks, right? Get aggressive. Um, and if that doesn't work, you can do a blanketed sales approach in any antique booth. So you basically tell the front desk, like, look, whatever your number is, everything is 20% off, okay? And then the poison there is that things will start selling, and then there's going to be a like a slow period again, right? And what people fall into the pit, here's the number one pit people fall into, they go from a 20% sale to like a 30% sale. And then it like just goes down and down and down. I did that one time over the course of like 4 months, down to a 50% off sale in my booth, 50. And nothing ever made it correct. Nothing ever gave me the steady like income that I was looking for until I went back to my original strategy of freshening them up the booth and using these things selectively, right? And that's where things got back to normal, when I was like true to myself about what I've learned about the booth and pricing things correctly and not going for home runs all the time. That was like the number one learning, right? But that was after I'd gone through at least 4 to 5 months of just vicious sales, like over and over and over, until I ended up at 50% off my entire booth, and I was still like, dude, this is not getting anywhere. Like, this is really, really like not where I want to be. So I redid my whole strategy, took the sale completely off, started using those stickers, and after 2 months of those stickers and those things purged out, picked the right kind of items, knew my customer, and then I was like, all right, now I hardly use those stickers at all. I just price them like not for a home run and not for just giving them away, right? So I go for like a price where me and the customer are super happy.
Yeah, and that kind of helps out too. It's again, it's the same way in eBay. You both go for something that's happy with best offers or something. Man, because I've been thinking the last couple episodes I've been talking to Deanie Ackerman, and she has a booth, and I've talked to you last week I think about the booth too, and I think it'd be a good investment. But it's just right now you got to figure out if do I still have enough time to do that. I mean, with my 3 kids, and I pick up my girlfriend every day. It's like, man, it seems like it's never enough time in the day to get anything done.
Yeah, I'd say when you get those kind of thoughts, Kevin, are you full-time or part-time?
Yeah, I do it from 9 to 6, and then my girlfriend comes home from work.
But you're full-time, right? You're full-time.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, I mean, best advice to people that are like, oh my gosh, like I don't have any time for anything. Just my best advice is wake up early. Wake up early and go to bed when your family goes to bed, and then wake up super early again. Like just early is the best thing to do for a productive lifestyle. When I was in MBA school, I was the opposite. I would like go super late. I would study from like 7 to like 2 in the morning when I was at school, and that's the way I liked it then. But your mind, I've done enough research about how brains work and everything, and apparently there's a certain time in every human person, every human body where the brain shuts off. It just shuts off, and any amount of information you try to feed it, it just basically pushes some other information out, can't store anymore. And it's different for every single person, every single human being. It can occur at 2 a.m. for some people. It can occur at 1. It can occur at midnight. It just at every person, it's a different. Like it doesn't matter if you're studying, if you're trying to learn something. It's not conducive whatsoever. It's actually very detrimental to keep going after that limit. So just so you know too.
Yeah, you could be sitting there in a zone going like 10 listings at a time, and then all of a sudden it's like you hit like a brick wall. You know, it's the same thing in bicycling. You do too much of it, you hit a brick wall. That's why like I like my hobbies on the side too. I I fish, I cycle, and I do eBay because I feel like if I do way too much of it, I'm just gonna burn myself out. You know.
Yeah, yeah. I would say definitely people out there that are like struggling with like or their business is kind of stale and they're like, man, I just want to learn some cool new tricks. First of all, yeah, try to get into your private hangouts if you can with some really trusted individuals. Second thing is do what Kevin's doing, build a little mastermind group. That's straight out of the actual book, Think and Grow Rich. Get your get your group of people that you trust together and just start brainstorming, right? It doesn't have to be about hustling. Just talk about what's working in your lives, what isn't. Talk about some crazy, crazy idea or a light bulb moment. Me and my girlfriend were having Mexican food earlier today, and I had a light bulb moment about something that I might start doing, but it's food related. And I was just like, I could probably do this, And so that's one of those things that we might together start something, but you just gotta be around people that you trust, and you can get things accomplished. And then definitely get some sort of physical exercise involved there, man. There's a lot of people that just do the game of hustling, but they don't. They completely disregard their cardiovascular health and that kind of stuff. So you guys gotta stay fit. I mean, not you don't have to be all shredded or anything, but stay fit, man. Do something that you love outdoors, and get sweaty, man. I mean, just do it. Get sweaty.
All right, so just before we go, tell everyone where we can find you.
Yeah, so we're about to get out of here, and you can find me at The Bonafide Hustler on YouTube. You can also just Google The Bonafide Hustler, and you'll find links to just about anything that I'm involved with. So you'll find Twitter, Facebook. You'll find some green room linkage here and there to more than likely my book, which is on Amazon. It's called Flip That, SHIT. So there you go. There's the book. You can find it on Amazon. You can find it on smashwords.com if you want a PDF version. Amazon if you want the actual version like you see right here. If you want a Kindle version there. You can also join the Green Room. He'll put all the links down below, which is our paid Facebook group, $100 a year. The three huge benefits you get from joining the Green Room are, number one, feed, which is just amazing. You really couldn't assess a monetary value to that alone, but it's an amazing feed. I'm very proud of everyone in the room. Number two is the guide. One of the guides that's free, 100 amazing items to resell. That's available in the room for free. You can still buy it on Gumroad. If you type in that name, you can buy it for $40. The last thing is College Picker's Guitar Hero Guide. That's in the room for free. On the open market, it's $20, digital downloaded file. So that's what I'm all about helping people out. And if you're in Austin, Texas, you want to learn how to hustle a little bit, or maybe you're an experienced hustler. I was out with a Green Room member last Saturday, actually, hustling. So he's on video, and I'll upload the video maybe tomorrow. But just hit me up, whether you're a Green Room member or you're just a YouTube watcher or you found me through Kevin's Thrifting Lounge. If you're in Austin, Texas, let's hook up. Let's allow me to show you the ropes, or you can show me the ropes if you're better than I am. I don't really care, but we just get together because we're like-minded individuals that like to hustle. So don't be afraid, male or female, to contact me.
Thanks, man. Again, everybody find them, Green Room and Bonafide Hustler on YouTube channel. Almost 10,000 subscribers. Seriously, hit that subscribe button on them. But again, thank you for coming on, man. Stay with me. I'm going to end it right now.
All right. See you guys.
Oh, wait. Continue, bro. Dude, I was...